Now.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to an interview with. It's been a while since we've done any of these, so forgive me for forgetting how I intro these. But today I'm actually here with a comic book writer that I met at Reading Comic Con in 2023. And first off, feel free to introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about yourself as well.
Yes, hello. My name is Joey. I am the one-man person behind the mini media franchise called Orbus Studios, which pretty much almost entirely has an online presence rather than like a brick and mortar thing. Um, I'm a comic book creator, and I have lots of individual series, all in different genres. My first proper like taste of success, so to speak, was the webcomic That's How Sally Walks, which was a black and white six-panel per story series about a socially awkward girl trying to come out of her shell, and that reached about 700 followers on Facebook, and and since then I've sold many in paperbacks at Comic Cons and online as well. That's How Sally Walks also has a spin-off series called Ellie the Artist, which is like full on like colors with backgrounds and everything. And most recently, I'm working on a few other series which are like completely deviate from that version of Earth, where it's fantasy and sci-fi and things like that. So,
Okay, yeah. So, what inspired you to become a comic book creator?
so since the age of 11, I wanted to be an animator, and I still do like freelance work here to there. I actually worked for Site to Go for a little while. Um, but and thing is, I've always been making like stories inside my head since birth. Like I'd say since the age of six is when I made my first story, and like I just thought, since the age of six, I just thought I want to make a living off of this. I want to when I'm a grown up, I want this to be my life. But then I did study animation at university. I failed because I wasn't very good at the whole university thing, and and I kept sticking to the guns of wanting to be an animated filmmaker for a while. But over the years, I kind of learned that about how competitive
Yeah,
and like dog eat dog the animation industry can be. I mean, not necessarily animation itself, but rather filmmaking, as in being in
yeah,
charge of a film project. Like, good. I mean, I only need to refer to like Pixar and DreamWorks, where they literally were sabotaging each other for the first 5 years of their studios existing. So,
yeah,
and I just thought, I'm not a competitive person. To be honest, I'm just not. It's not in me to sabotage another person's project, and I sure as hell wouldn't want anyone sabotaging mine. And but then I just thought, but I still want to make stories. I just thought, okay, backup plan is I make all of my stories in comic book form, which is good because I can do it all by myself for free and sell them online. So
yeah.
it's
Uh,
basically I basically make movies and TV shows into comic form, like Hergé did with Tintin. Actually, he said something similar.
yeah, because I had a look because you sent me some of your work, and I had a look through it all uh, properly, other than what I saw at the Comic Con when I met you, and like obviously like doing your work is absolutely amazing. And for
Thank
a
you.
one person kind of creator as well with a comic book, whereas other comic books have multiple people working on them at a time. As a one person creator, they are absolutely really good.
Thank you
So,
very much.
is there anything about how like your background that has influenced your storytelling in the comic books? Like anything like
Well,
your from anything from your personal life and
yeah. So, well, in stories like That's How Sally Walks and Ellie the Artist, I'm often asked, oh, who is this character in real life? Have you met this person? But I always tell them like, no, not a single one of my characters is based on a single person I've known in real life. Each character is more like an amalgamation of people
yeah,
that I've met. So um, yeah, I think. how can I put it? Like, I think I'm good at inventing people, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think I spend a lot of time observing people, just and I live a fairly ordinary life. I have a social life. I go to the pub. I had midnight drives with my friends and go to McDonald's, stuff like that, and it's I think for someone in their late 20s in South England, I live a fairly ordinary life. And my day job is working at a library. Um, Although previously, before then, I had worked in a lot of food retail, including like McDonald's for 3 years,
yeah,
and um, and it's like there are very few of those experiences that I actually truly feel bitter about. And any time that I do feel bitter about something, I feel like, okay, stop being bitter, Joey. Like,
yeah.
try and
I think going back to like the McDonald's thing, I think everyone growing up has worked in McDonald's at least once because
yes,
I did. That was my very first job.
yeah,
That
thank
was
you. No, I
when I
mean,
was in college, and that was my very first job because I could do it while I was at college and studying.
yes.
But so can you kind of like walk me through your creative process when it comes to creating like one of your comics, like from the concept to then to the final product?
To be honest, I wish I could do that, but it just kind of happens for me. Um, I think because storytelling has become second nature to me since such a young age. I guess if I were to really try to sum up my process, it would be I make the sometimes I make a scene in my head, in my mind. Like I act out a scene in my mind between two or more characters, and then I picture it, and then sometimes I realize, and then I think of another scene and think these could be part of the same story, and then I work backwards, and eventually it becomes a whole story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say my current project. So I have two projects that I'm working on right now. One is Eddie the Artist number six, and the other is Tales of Mystria, my fantasy adventure series. That fantasy adventure series, Tales of Mystria, actually started out as a computer game that me and my friend from school were making together. Um, and uh, and it was such a long time ago that we used to trade the files to each other on blank CDs
Oh,
during our lunch break. Yeah. So basically, my friend was the programmer, and I was the artist and story maker and everything.
yeah,
By the way, the game never the game never got finished, but I did make a whole bunch of sprite sheets when I was like 12. Um, uh, I basically improvised the character design of the main character in the sprite sheet, and then I decided to think, okay, what does his village look like? Where does he live? And then I just randomly drew like a treetop village. It just kind of like happened piece by piece, like without me
yeah,
meaning it to, because like I said, it does just kind of happen for me. Yeah. I do have like laser focus as well. Like I have OCD. I'm also on the personality, 16 different personality ones. I'm an INTJ. And if that means anything to you or not, I don't know.
no, not
But that
no, I
does
don't
tend
really
to
know
make people
much.
okay. That does tend to make people very very productive, very hyper focused.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I do have a lot of personal friends with ADHD, which I don't have, who want to be creative and want to be productive. And I'm really trying to find a way to help them out and see, like, okay, maybe this will work for you, maybe this will work for you. But unfortunately for me, it's like I can't really give much advice because it seems to be neurological for me. So
yeah. To us,
yeah.
I'm kind of like the same when it comes to certain videos that I make, especially when it comes to like I do a series of strange, mysterious stories where I go through history and look at like crazy conspiracy theories and stuff like that. And then like
Mm,
I'll start to put that's I when I'm typing up the script for me to write, I'll base it on what I know of it. Then I'll do research, and then I'll throw the research that I've done into the script at the same time. So like I
yes.
base it all. Mainly base the script on what I personally know of that, and then I build around it. And it's the same thing
Yes.
of my I do another series of reptiles of the world, and because I know I'm a big reptile fanatic anyway. I know quite a bit about certain reptiles and where they're from, and then I'll
Hmm.
kind of swing from that way. Then I'll research into what other species of reptiles are from that country, and then I learn something at the same time as me building something else. So, is there kind of any specific artists, writers, or works that you've got kind of have a significant impact on your style or on your life as a comic book creator?
On my art style, well, on strangely enough, it's Matt Groening, the Simpsons and Futurama guy, and I
Okay,
guess now
yeah,
Disenchantment. Um, well, yeah, when I was 11, I just started to randomly copy Simpsons drawings in on like pieces of paper, and then with that art style, I started to make my own characters, and then that art style just mutated over time. And I think the show Eon Flux has had a big impact on my style as well, and my writing as well. Um, I would like to actually move my art style more into like Eon Flux territory because right now I'm a little afraid that my style might just be stuck in like mutated Simpsons style.
yeah,
I have been told that my art style does seem a bit stunted, and that it can be kind of one track. At the same time, I do experiment with different art styles, like Search for Catharsis, which you may have seen. It's on the freebies section of my website. Um, that is like that is like an entirely new art style. I mean, like the facial structures and body structures are the same, but like the lines are so like jagged, and each like line is an individual polygon that I've made in Photoshop. I'd say that was inspired by manga and Disney's Atlantis.
yeah.
Writing wise, I would say Hayao Miyazaki, absolutely. Um, I think my all-time favorite movie is Laputa Castle in the Sky. Bear in mind, I don't believe that's the objectively best movie of all time because that because it definitely isn't. It's just my personal favorite because it had
Yeah,
such an impact on me growing up. Um, I think the adventure kind of storyline, but also as the characters like interconnect with each other at the same time, like the emotional bonding alongside the adventure, um, and also just generally, the I guess, kind of drama mixed with whimsy sort of thing,
yeah.
which I think pretty much all of my series have.
Okay.
Um,
And so, how do you handle feedback and criticism, and how has it influenced your growth as a creator?
I welcome all feedback. I welcome all feedback and I welcome all criticism. Um, I recognize that when people are saying this is bad, they are trying to help me.
Yeah,
Um, or at least most of the time they are trying to help. Like if it's like a friend or like a co-worker who's saying it, yes, they are trying to help you. And my response to all criticism is improvement. Um, uh, Several years ago, a few of my friends had to have an intervention because my art style was so bad, and I was starting to sell my art. And then I thought, oh, okay, sure. Well, let's get into this and really start improving on my
yeah,
anatomy, improving on my proportions, and well, yeah, stuff like that, really.
yeah. I'm honestly, I'm the same. Like I'm a bit cautious because obviously with YouTube, criticism and feedback can sometimes be a bad thing.
Mm,
Especially if they're people who aren't really a subscriber or aren't part of your close knit community that comment on your videos or reach out to you. So when it comes to that, I'm very cautious of how to take it. But if it's friends and like family that watch any of my content and they've trying to help me to be the best that I can, and if they know that I can be better, then they'll try to help. I listen to it, and if it's something that I can personally do more or less straight away, then I'll do it. But if
mm.
it's something I need to learn and improve bit by bit, then it will take a while. But I'll prove to them that I'm trying my best with it.
Yes, I do remember one particular comment I got on Reddit when I posted an Ellie the Artist scene. One of the comments said this was strange and difficult to read, and for some reason that hurt more than saying this was bad. Saying it was strange, I thought, oh no, for some reason that's even worse. But then again, like at the same time, I I think, yeah, I did realize, okay, I've got to look back on this writing, see if I agree with yes, you got to see if you agree with the feedback first of
Yeah,
all. Over time, look at it more objectively, maybe like after like a year after you've made it, and I'd say, yeah. Also, it's good to acknowledge that it does hurt. Like, don't say that. I'd say don't pretend that you're immune to criticism because I don't think anybody is personally, except maybe like
yeah,
narcissists or something. I don't know. um, yeah, obviously, like criticism does hurt, but thing is, it's probably supposed to. It's
yeah,
probably like breaking eggs to make an omelette. Let's say that.
yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Like sometimes my mates will make like a witty comment about some of the stuff that I make and like why I do those type of videos. But then again, I'm just like I know they're messing about, and I know what it's usually when we're having a laugh and a joke type thing.
Yes,
Um, and I know that whenever they're serious about something of my content, that I listen to them and I take that on board. But sometimes it can be really hard to do that. Like I said, with YouTube comments, because when it comes to like my videos, I don't know if you do the same, but I try to respond to any feedback or any comments on the work that I've done as soon as I
yes.
can. Sometimes it's a little bit
Mm.
difficult to try and respond to every single comment or message, but I try my best to respond as much as I can.
Yes, yeah.
And do you have a favorite project or character that you've worked on, and what makes it stand out to you?
So, I think one of my favorites that I can think of would be Sally's father in That's How Sally Walks. His name is Oscar, um, who started out the series as pretty much a villain.
Hmm.
Um, as in his first ever appearance was that he was this terrifying man who was on the run from the law and was manipulative. But then, literally in his very next appearance, Sally visited him in prison, and he said, "By the way, Sally, I'm proud of you for sticking up for, standing up to me.
Yeah,
Saying Sally, you used to be such a hermit, and now you're so brave." And like that's the moment where we realize that Oscar is a lot more complicated than just like a polarized like bad guy. I think That's How Sally Walks is about life itself more than any other series I've made. Um, it's basically about Sally and the people in her life. Like, there's no true like direction of the plot. There's no end goal of that. Um, and over the 4 years that Sally Walks ran for, Oscar really developed and essentially became something of a hero by the end. And got that's the thing. I don't want to go into spoiler territory, but just say
yeah.
that episode 250 is one of my favorite things I've ever done, writing wise, at the very least.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you go about promoting and distributing your comics, and what strategies have you found to be effective?
Well, truthfully, I'm not very effective at advertising my stuff. The most business I've had is at Comic Cons. Um, Unfortunately, yeah, online advertising is not my strong suit. Um,
Yeah,
I've had to get my brother to help me out with that sometimes, and I've mainly because I can't afford to pay for a real SEO expert.
yeah,
Um, and That's the thing. Despite being like a one person army, I'm still very much working class, and I'm still somewhat below the poverty line. And it's Yeah, I'd say starting this year, I have decided to do at least two Comic Cons every year for the rest of my life because they're so good for business. Even if I don't sell out of comic books that day, I at least get connections. I network,
yeah.
and I think
That's
in person networking is still better than online
yeah,
networking because online you have the choice to just ignore a message. Online, if you don't want to look at something, you just scroll past it. But in person, you actually do see their face. You actually do,
yeah.
you know. you either find that person charming or you don't, and that makes you decide if you want to work with them in future.
That's exactly what I've started to do. I usually go to gaming conventions. They were like that's my thing. But I've
Hmm.
started doing comic cons more now because one, I feel like I can make better content at comic cons other than gaming conventions. I can interact with more people. I can create connections. I can promote myself, and I can like use that to help promote other people that I meet and everything else like that. Like I'm doing with you, sharing your work and how everything with you out there to help promote you as well. That's kind of why I help do these interview videos.
Thank you. I very
So
much
it,
appreciate
it,
it.
it, it helps you guys, and it kind of I'm creating a contact with you as well. So we it all goes hand in hand type thing. Um,
Exactly.
Plus,
Yes.
I love I love the experience of a comic con more than a gaming convention because
Hmm.
gaming conventions it's all obviously it's all gaming related and it's all just booths of games and stuff like that. You don't really get a connection with other people, whereas
Hmm.
comic cons you can interact with other attendees and you can talk to them while in line or while
Hmm.
you're looking at like a merch booth or anything like that. But then you can also talk with the people that are there promoting their stuff or like the actors and everyone else that are there. So I think that's why I like the Comic Cons more now. But
Yes, absolutely.
I plan on doing more every year now because
Hmm.
I find them such great fun and especially some of the ones are really close to me as well. Reading is half an hour away from me. So,
Hmm. Oh, me too.
you
I
know,
live in Basingstoke. So
I'm Newbury.
Newbury, not far away.
No. So, that's it. I'm quite central to a lot of the south of England for Comic
Yes.
Cons, so a lot of them are about an hour away. So I'm happy
Yeah.
to travel that kind of
I will say,
distance.
yeah, I will say I do love. I am lucky to have been born and live in the town that I do because, like, London is 50 miles that way, the
Yeah.
seaside is 50 miles that way, Wales is 2 hours that way, and
And
I do.
Oxford is just over an hour away as well. So
Mm,
it's with
exactly, yeah, and it's and
where we both are, you've got such a great way of connecting with the rest of the country. So
yes, I will say I am intending to move to London by age 33. I'm 29 now, even though I don't look it. Um,
I'm
I
30,
nice, yeah.
so I don't look
Um,
it either. Don't worry.
yeah, I am intending to move to London by age 33, similar to Eddie Dawkins in Eddie the Artist, which was I'm doing it for the same reasons that my character's doing it for. And I also think that, let's say my 20s was the center parts of my life, where I stayed in Basingstoke. I stayed in a small town in the home county, and I got to live a relatively, ordinary social life, if I were
Yeah,
to review it objectively. And I think, but then I thought, what's my 30s going to be like? And I thought, not in Basingstoke, no thanks, not anymore. Like it's time to join the rest of the world, so to speak. I
yeah,
did have plans to move to South Korea for a little while, but I just realized I don't think there will be much there for me career wise. And
yeah,
and I just think London is just the best bet. And maybe at some point Amsterdam would be a good place as well. But I think I do come from a family of nomadic people. So I mean, not literally nomadic, but like my mum immigrated here from India in the 60s, and I've got family all over the world now. So
yeah.
it's we move around. We do move a lot. Our family. So
Okay. So, what challenges do you face as like a small time comic creator, and how do you overcome them?
I said before that I'm not competitive. My main trouble is competition.
Yeah,
Um, I I people tell me that my things should offer things that nobody else is offering. And to be honest, I think my series do offer things that others don't, but I don't quite know how to profess that to people. Like I don't quite
yeah,
know, and I think I don't want to make it my business to try and outshine other creators because, well, I just don't. I just don't think I can do that personally. And um, I think, also because of that, there are competitors who make a living
Yeah,
and I don't. So,
yeah. It's the same time with like because obviously I'm still quite a small time YouTube creator. Yeah, I'm below the 1,000 sub mark, so
mm,
I've got a lot of competition out there of the really popular channels, but also the channels that are roughly at the same level as me. So I'm
yes,
I'm I'm battling a two-way fight here with real popular ones and ones that are at the same level or trying to get to the level that I'm at, and I'm trying to
mm,
like outwit both of them to obviously get out there and get more outreach. And it's really difficult sometimes. Sometimes I
yes,
find it a little disheartening, or if anything of my stuff doesn't really do as well as I expected it to, but then I think, okay, maybe there's something in that I can improve on, and then I'll improve that in other videos and other content. And I think that's the
mm,
best way to kind of take that is in the kind of industry of content creating that we both are in, is to constantly try to see what you can do to improve, and then
mm,
you know start investing that kind of time and energy into improving it, and then you can obviously usually the outreach it gets a lot better once that's kind of the improvement has been made. um
yes, absolutely.
so how do you connect with your audience and kind of try to build a community around all the work that you do?
I will be honest, I do kind of tend to put a wall between me and my audience these days. I mean, I used to connect with fans on my professional Facebook account quite often, but I felt like maybe I was getting a little too close to people.
Mm,
Bear in mind, um, this isn't something I recommend or unrecommend. It's I just felt like I just feel more comfortable kind of staying in my it I feel like when I'm friends with a fan, I then have to represent Orbus Studios.
yeah,
As in I have to conduct myself well and well, I
yeah,
mean you should do that anyway, but like um I I honestly don't know because like I do know that there is an Orbus fan base. But I and I do respond to almost all messages that I get, and all positive fan mail I get, and all negative fan mail I get, I do respond saying thank you so much for this message. Like on my birthday last year, I got a message from someone who bought a book for my Comic Con, and they said, "Yeah, I read it all in one day, and I couldn't put it down. I'm going to buy the rest. This was so good; it cheered me up." And I thought, "Oh my God, thank you. This is what a birthday present!"
yeah,
um, and yes, I just try to give an air of professionalism, I guess, but at the same time, I do know that I should connect with people. Um,
yeah. Because it's harder for me to kind of disconnect from my community because on like the live streams that I do, obviously I need to interact with them. I've got my own Discord server that I used for my community to join and talk with me outside of content. And
mm,
it's sometimes like, yeah, I feel like, all right, I'm close to a lot of the people in my community, and we're quite close to that. I trust them with more or less anything. And
mm,
like there are some that I'm kind of like I am a little bit distant with, but that's just because as much as I love them being a part of my community, there are some things that just doesn't sit right with me a little bit. But I'm happy to them to stay in the community because when they talk to me about the content, it's all positive. But sometimes there is negative things they say outside of the content spectrum.
yes,
So it's kind of like I like that you're in the community, but sometimes the vibe I get depends on like the time, the day that they're having or the day that I'm having. So it's just like
yeah,
okay, like
absolutely.
just kind of like disconnect from those types a little bit more than what I disconnect with other people.
Yes, yeah.
Just a couple more questions. Um, any upcoming projects or ideas that you're particularly excited about that you'd like to share with us?
Yes, I am doing a sci-fi series next year, or is it this year? It's called Rampunk Reality. Rampunk is a new genre of sci-fi which I've come up with. Where steampunk is Victorian sci-fi, dieselpunk is 1930s to 50s sci-fi, rampunk is 1980s and 90s sci-fi.
Oh, okay.
The aes- the aesthetic is sunny California, hoverboards and skateboards, graffiti, cassette tapes, computer circuit boards, and green monitors and uh, deserts and kind of like imagine if Kurt Cobain wore goggles.
Okay.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Um,
that actually sounds quite interesting.
Thank you. And yeah, my next uh, yeah, I am hopefully going to release the first episode of a series with that genre this year. It's
Okay.
called Rampunk Reality, and it's very much in avant-garde territory as well now. Because so far I've done down-to-earth, wholesome dramas and comedy dramas, and I've also done like absurd comedies, like My Junkie Friend. But Rampunk Reality will get really like existential and kind of philosophical as a buzzword, I guess.
Yeah.
It will. It's going to take a lot of inspirations from Eon Flux, but also when I say Eon Flux, I'm talking about the animated series. I don't mean that terrible movie from 2005.
Yeah,
um,
yeah. I've heard. I've not seen them either, but I've heard of them, so I know of
hmm,
them.
yes, I'll definitely watch the series, not the film. But,
Okay, I'll check the series out.
hmm. But yeah, yeah, there's going to be a lot of well, so like yeah, it's going to be avant-garde and it's going to be sci-fi and it's going to be set in the future, post-apocalypse, but not necessarily a miserable post-apocalypse. It's going to be more like a thriving civilization 200 years after the apocalypse, and robots and humans do coexist. They are fighting, but it's more complicated than that. It's not just a case of robots want to wipe out humanity. It's more like a subversion on the Skynet thing, where it's more like the robots are kind of like wild animals in the wild,
Okay, yeah,
and they have like a kind of they have a complex relationship with humans because they do fight, but only because they're provoked by humans who believe the robots are evil. And at the same time, the robots are in league with a higher power, like a higher artificial intelligence that basically governs the earth. And the main characters we follow are a group of freedom fighters who are basically kind of like part of this. Well, it's called Central Command brackets CC, and there's a lot of like a computer, like uh, colon dash dash sort of stuff like
yeah,
that. Uh, um, yeah, the main characters are this group of people who are sent on missions to like either take down a large computer that's alive, or I don't know, just do things, try and make peace with some robots. And the main character is a huge mystery because the main character himself doesn't look like he belongs in that genre of sci-fi. He looks more like imagine Dale Cooper meets Trevor Goodchild meets Oppenheimer.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, very, very much a unusual combination. And
yeah,
yeah, so well, basically, yes, I'm very much looking forward to making that. I just have to really get the art style down properly first.
yeah. So obviously, last question. If you
Hmm.
could collaborate with anyone in the comic book industry, whether an artist, writer, or another creator, who would it be and why?
People who are still alive or anyone in history?
Anyone in history.
Okay. I think Hergé, the creator of Tintin, because he has inspired me a lot, and I also know that he was a very sensitive man, and I think Tintin was a gigantic global phenomenon, and then it
Yeah,
wasn't. Um, but honestly, the Tintin books still hold up incredibly to this day, and even the movie by Steven Spielberg, the animated one, that is so good. Um,
yeah. That is probably one of my favorites.
mm, and Hergé himself, um, all of the Tintin books are set in real world places to the point where it's even like geographically accurate.
Yeah,
Hergé sent a man to go abroad and take photos of places, and then he made it so you know Tintin's real adventures were illustrated around those real world places. And there was a TV special with some comedian years ago where he actually recreated in real life Tintin and the Black Island, where he went from Belgium to England to up to Scotland, and they were all real places that the real Tintin went. And I have incorporated some of that into my own series that are set on Earth, like um, and even the town where That's How Sally Walks is said is a real place in real life, but it's a secret because, like the name of the state that the Simpsons live in, it's never truly revealed where Sally lives. But I, in fact, know, and I've been to that village, and it's just
yeah,
like, and I've been there 2 or 3 times now, just with a couple of friends, and I also went there to take photos for the finale to use as backgrounds. Um, and Yeah, just knowing that, wow, in Sally's universe, she walked along that road and she went into that shop. I think, yeah, Hergé definitely started that part of my series for me, but also I just love Tintin. It's just so good.
yeah. Okay, fair enough. Well, thank you for taking the time out to sit and talk with me, and obviously for me to get to know you more, and for obviously my audience to get to know you as well. Um, and
Thank you very
thank
much
you
for
to
the
everyone
interview.
who has sat and watched this interview. If you want to see any of Joey's work, then all of his uh, all of his socials and his website will be down below in the description for you guys to go and check out. And if you do go and check out any of his stuff, just let him know that you came from this video with me. Um, and yeah, thank you again, Joey, because sitting here and getting to know you more than what we had a chat at running Comic Con. Now that I know you, a little bit more than from then, is kind of opened my eyes of why comic book writers do what they do. Because you're the first comic book writer that I've spoken to,
Hmm.
so it's
Well,
kind of
thank you
open
very
to
much,
me.
Peaky.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you very much,
you're,
Peaky Arrow, and thank you to the audience as well. Thank you for having me. So,
yeah, you're
yeah.
more than welcome. And yeah, thank you everyone, and peace.